Hey guys, welcome to episode number 49 of 10 Minute Kick-Ass Coaching. Glad to have you here today. One episode more closer to number 50. Tomorrow's we will not actually have an episode. I'm prepping for a really big one on Friday. So Friday will be episode number 50. We're going to do a little celebrating. I appreciate you guys attending these, and I appreciate your time and effort to listen and add your thoughts and your whatever you can bring to every single conversation. It really is appreciated, and I can't thank you enough. Today's episode, number 49, we're going to talk about employee and technician kind of mentality when it comes to what motivates them. Technicians need to feel that they are part of an organization, they're part of the growth of the program, they're part of the opportunities and part of what makes the company what it does. And we're going to take and break down basically 6 segments, very similar to the marketing we talked about yesterday, and discuss, in essence, what are some of the things that technicians and employees and associates really run into the most in the service-based industry. Again, that's my area of expertise. So we're going to start out with number 1. Not that they're in any particular order, but they are in somewhat of an order here as far as where they're going to go. But no real order as far as in level of importance from that standpoint. Culture, company culture. Employees want to come to a place, technicians, whatever, people want to come to a place that they matter, that they can count, that they can bring something to it, that they can bring value, that they can help the organization grow, be part of it, no matter where they are in their type of company, especially top achievers and people that really have a drive, have motivation, have that desire to really go somewhere and really be part of the organization, the best people you're going to have. But those people want to know that they're going to have a great company culture to work in. They're going to want to know that when they come into work, they're going to be appreciated for the type of work that they do, that they're going to have a fair and balanced result, and that they can basically grow with the organization and move from that standpoint. They want to know that is when they go in that everybody is kind of able to work to one another, that the management is able to work with the technicians. I've seen great businesses, and I think I said this before, one in particular that does a ton in revenue, a ton in things, but has a terrible company culture, has a great system in place, great marketing in place, but the disconnect between the ownership, the management, and the technicians is apparent from the time you walk in. Nobody knows when that one person is going to lose their cool or whatever the case is. So it is a functioning business. It's just not a great company culture, unfortunately. But they do have a lot of things in place right to make it work. And they certainly have a lot of things that I think they probably could improve on. And one of them is making sure the company culture is not chaotic and everybody feels threatened by people in front of them. They want to know that they're stable there with the job. If somebody does something wrong, they want to be handled tactfully. You handle the person when they make a mistake or make a change tactfully. You don't scream or berate them. But it does happen, and it's not a good thing. It's never going to be a good thing, but there are people that do it, successful or not. Not my kind of people, not the people I want to be around, definitely won't be a person I want to work with, but it does happen. So company culture does matter. Schedule, they want to know about a work-life balance. So they want to know that when they come into work, they can be able to still come home, provide for their families, provide what the opportunity entails, and they want to make sure that they have still some downtime when they're off. There is the old saying about time and money, and the more time you spend working on something, the more money you make, the less money you make. And there has to be some type of a balance there. I mean, as an entrepreneur, you know you're working more hours than anybody. We know it. That's part of the equation. There's really no other way around it. If you are a owner of a company and it is your entity, you're going to put in the hours. If you're going to grow it, you're going to put in the hours. There's no other way around that. So, but the technicians, your employees, your associates don't always think that way. Even your key people need to have time off to spend with their family, or they're going to get the other half rather upset and rather aggravated quickly because they don't have a work-life balance. So again, same thing. I've seen some very successful businesses, but they burn their people to the core. At the end of the day, there's nothing left. They're retraining and rehiring new people. It's a constant revolving door. You see the reviews, you see them on Glassdoor, you see them on other things. They can't keep people in place. Well, I start to look at a person and say, okay, you couldn't keep your first staff, you couldn't keep this, but after a while, there's something wrong with you, something wrong with the way you're running the organization. It cannot be. It's always my people, my technicians, they're this, they're that. Look in the mirror. You hired them. So you should know what you're working with. You should know day in, day out. If they're a problem child, you have ways to deal with them. They may not be the right fit for your company. If they're great, reward accordingly. But make sure that you find that they have a schedule between their personal life and their work life. The farther up the chain, the tighter that's going to be. But you got to make sure you have a fair and balanced issue to it, or you're just going to move through employees. It doesn't matter who it is, and it really doesn't matter what you pay them. At the end of the day, they want some type of balance in their life, and a work-life schedule is very, very important. Benefits, knowing that traditionally benefits are your health coverage, your eye care coverage, but benefits can include a whole bunch of stuff. Benefits can include days off. Benefits can include trips away. There's all kinds of stuff that can be part of benefits. You have your traditional health care, which is extremely important. There's no question about that. But benefits come in many different ways. Some small businesses can't even afford the health care coverage. Now, things have changed, and there is some normality, I say that lightly, to it, but it's still extremely expensive to provide health care to your employees and your technicians without having a substantial income in your business. It's just, there's no way around that. So find out what benefits you can offer to your employees, no matter whether that's weekend away somewhere, that is a bonus for something. We can get into bonuses later on. It doesn't really matter. Just make sure there's some type of offering of benefits, some type of incentive that you're offering to your people. They do care about those things. Growth and opportunities is another one. They want to know that there is an opportunity for them to move up the chain, to move into new positions, whether they're just an assistant and they're going to run their own truck, or a person that runs all the other trucks and they're the lead, or an assistant manager, operations manager, whatever the case is. It doesn't make a difference. They want to know that they have the opportunity to move up with your organization. If they see that there are people there, they want to know they have the ability. So you can't expect a real productive technician or real productive employee just to sit there and not just roll with it all the time. They're not going to. They're key performers because they produce and they perform. And if you kind of neuter them, there's no way around that. You're going to lose them. And you should. So make sure you appreciate the technicians that are there. Make sure you find that there are growth and opportunities for them. Make sure you include them in your business. That's crucial. There's no doubt about that. Another one is training. Making sure you have proper training. Your guys know what to do. They know how to handle a different job, handle different situations, no matter what it happens to be. As long as they have the opportunity, the training there to be able to really grow with the business and know what they're doing, then that's just the sky's the limit when it comes to that. So making sure they're trained, they properly understand the job, they properly understand what's going on, they properly understand how to do this, how to do every function of the business. And you can chart this out, put this in books and manuals, put this in operations manuals, whatever the case it is. You can make it as simple as can be. Franchises do that. They make it cookie cutter, so to speak. So you could do that. There's very little doubt that can work for you. Just making sure you have a training program in place. Bonuses. Knowing that you have the opportunity to get a little something extra. So if you're in the carpet cleaning industry and you have technicians, I'm just using that as an example, and they're going out and doing a carpet cleaning, upholstery cleaning, whatever job, and they happen to add on additional products or services, whether that be protector, whether that be sanitizer, whether it be deodorizer, whatever that happens to be, something for pet treatment, whatever, they need to know that they are able to make some money on that, because they're part of it. So if they're out there presenting and positioning your products and your services to customers, and they are spending more money, you have to make sure they get a piece of that. They are part of that. It wouldn't happen if they didn't do it. If it was going to happen, you would sell it on the phone over the office, but it just doesn't happen that way. So you got to make sure you have a rewards program or a commission type program in place for your employees. Now, whether that commission is we hit a sales goal at the end of the month, or we sold this much Scotchgard, this much deodorizer, great. In the restoration industry, a big one is knowing that if the guys are able to go out and land the job, so their closing ratio is really good, then they can get a little better piece of the action. If they go and they just put on a good sales presentation and it really performs stellar results, again, it's a win-win. If you're making money, they're making money. So just make sure you include them on it. Make sure that whatever that happens to be, that they are involved in the financial decisions of the company when it comes to the opportunities. So what I mean by that is if they bring a product or they sell a product to somebody, they close so many jobs, they hit certain sales criteria, whatever it is, make sure you include them on a bonus program. It's the best way to keep them motivated. So we're going to go back to it really quick. Company culture, extremely important. We know nobody wants to go to work where they hate it. It's just, that's today. There's no question. That's actually been always, but it's really big today, especially with the work the working force that's out there today. Schedule, making sure they have a good work-life balance so everybody stays happy, mommy stays happy at home, you stay happy, or vice versa. Benefits, to need to know that they have the opportunity to acquire and things that are going to have their back if they happen to get hurt or they happen to get sick. That benefits are a big part of it. Growth and opportunity with your company, know that they have an opportunity to grow with your organization and develop those people. So if they have a managerial abilities, start grooming them to be a manager, or even if you don't have a management post, start putting them into different positions. I was in a position where I worked for a company where didn't actually have a manager, but a lead position was needed, and I worked in the lead position. Turns out the lead position was probably harder than the manager's job because you had to do a little bit of everything. But it was great because when I got to the management end, it was pretty much a cakewalk. So that much I could thank him for. Training, making sure people know what to do every single time. They know the process from A to Z. Nobody's going to be perfect. Everybody's going to make mistakes. But at least if you have a system for training behind it, that whether you're doing it beforehand, afterhand, whatever the case is, if you're doing the training in-house, you're sending people away, whatever the case is, just make sure you have an implemented system of making that happen. And of course, last but not least, a bonus. Make sure they can share in some of the profits of the business. I'm not talking the whole grand scheme, the entire nut of the company. I'm talking about what they produce and they perform and what they bring to the bottom line of the company. Make sure they have a piece of that. All right, guys, that is today's episode number 49 of 10-Minute Kick-Ass Coaching. It's what seems to matter to employees and what motivates employees and technicians in the field. Those are just a small sampling, just a small sample of what's out there. And realize the more you bring, the more tangible you make your place, the more likable it is, the more you're going to attract people. Word does get around if you're a decent employer and you work with. I was always known to be fair. Tough, but fair. And if you performed, you did great. If you did poorly, I would talk to you. I wouldn't yell at you. I'd never berate you. I never did that a day in my life. I'd pull somebody aside. I don't think it's needed. I think that's pretty pathetic when somebody has to do that. Now, there's points where you're going to lose your cool. I get that. But it has to be extreme. In general, be professional. If you're a manager, be professional. If you're an owner, be professional. And expect the same from your technicians, that they're going to be just as professional towards you, and it becomes a great working situation all the way around. All right, guys, thanks so much for joining me. Episode number 49 again of 10-Minute Kick-Ass Coaching, Employee and Tech Motivation, and what seems to matter to them. We will not see you tomorrow, but we will see you Friday for episode number 50, Big 50. Rock and roll. Talk to you tomorrow. Or talk to you Friday. Sorry. Bye.